Hi guys, I'm back again today with the fourth part to the Ruby Frank case. Well, we're going to do again one and two, like part one and two, since it's 2 hour 2 hours long video. But anyways, beautiful peeps, yeah, let's see what happens. I hope she goes to jail for lifetime. I don't want to hear years, okay? I do not want to hear She's in jail for 7 years." No, we do not want lifetime. Okay. But anyways, beautiful peeps, let's go.
Bada bing, bada boom.
It's not exactly where you want to spend a lot of your free time, especially if you don't have loved ones buried inside the cemetery. It is kind of odd when you think about these two middle aged women sitting in their AC blasting car just staring out into this cemetery in Utah. Ruby thinks there's a plan for everything. This is to teach Ruby Frankie's two youngest children a lesson. Go barefoot in the scorching hot heat pavement of the cemetery, pick up every single bit of weed, brush, cactus, thorn, broken glass, trash inside the cemetery for 5 hours. No shade, no food, and definitely no water. The youngest, the little 9-year-old girl, screams for another family, for water, for food, care, love. But Ruby and Jody, they know this is all manipulation. That's the plan, okay? This is what they've been doing until one day a woman stops to watch them. This woman starts taking pictures of them. She's taking videos right now, right? Ruby turns to her kids and tells them to shield their faces from the picture while they continue to pull the weeds. But after about 15 minutes of this woman just watching Ruby, forcing her kids to pull weeds at the cemetery, the woman approaches them. What are you doing here? This isn't your land. This is a reservation and you are trespassing. How would you feel if I came around and started poking around your cemeteries? What are you stealing here? And Ruby writes in her journal, nothing. We're weeding. We're picking up trash, weeds and broken glass. You can see for yourself. Leave. Get off our land. This is a reservation, meaning it's literally reserved for indigenous people. It's not enough for you guys to come and take all of our land. Now you want more? Now you want our cemeteries too? What is wrong with you? You weren't raised right. So much disrespect. What are you doing in our cemetery? I mean, no disrespect. We're honoring your people. Ruby later states that it was not worth the fight. She collects her kids and gets in the car. This graveyard torture will have to stop for the time being. She and Jody Hildebrandt will just have to think of a new way to get the devil out of Ruby's two youngest children. Ruby writes in her journal, I told E, the youngest daughter, I told her that she invited evil, that you created this evil. But the good news is, because you created it, you can destroy this. The truth is, E did not start this. She did not create this. She did not invite evil into their home. But August 30th, 2023, they will be sent away. This is the final part of Ruby Franke and Jody Hildebrandt and how both of them were arrested and their new accusations from jail, a new lawsuit that's hit them in jail, and how there might be a third person, a third woman that people think should be arrested along with them. We would like to thank today's sponsors who have made it possible for Rotten Mango to support the Biz Parents Foundation. They're a nonprofit organization devoted to protecting professional child performers and their rights. This episode's partnerships have also made it possible to support Rotten Mango's growing team, and we'd also like to thank you guys for your continued support. As always, full show notes are available at rottenmangopodcast.com. This is the final part of the 4-part Ruby Franke and Jody Hildebrandt series. Please watch the previous 3 parts before this episode. In part 1, we went over Ruby Franke's YouTube channel, her entire online, I want to say cancellation because they're not actual legal charges against her, but it was, the whole world believed that she was abusing her 6 children behind the scenes. And then in part 2, we went over Jody Hildebrandt and the people that have accused her of ruining their lives. It seems like she has a tendency and a deep yearning to want to ruin people's marriages. In part 3, we went over Jody and Ruby joining forces to create the Connections business, Well, Ruby joins Connections, which is Jody Hildebrand's life counseling business. And the two of them, they decide they're going to just dominate the podcast world with their ill-advised, ill-recorded, not so great podcast, giving other parents some of the most abusive parenting advice that you could probably find on the internet.
I wonder how many viewers slash listeners did they like get from this podcast. Obviously, I bet they're gonna get more if it's not already taken down. After this, what's a mango thing? I'm not gonna give them. If it's still up, I'm not gonna give them the view, um, unless it's like, I don't know. They should just take it down. But how many people like back in the days before this came out were listening to this two crazy women?
Hello and welcome to Connections. I'm Jody Hildebrand and I'm Ruby Franke.
In this episode, the final part, we will be going over their arrests, what they've said, their plea agreements, and then all of the internet conspiracies, as well as all of the discourse surrounding Kevin Franke, the dad, and a woman named Pam, whom a lot of people on the internet think both of them should be facing charges for this case. We will be referring to the eldest children, Sherry and Chad, by their names. They are adults and they have publicly spoken out about this case. Sherry also has a phenomenal book. It's called The House of My Mother. Please go buy a copy. Please go buy 30 copies. I think it is a book everyone should read, especially when it pertains to family vlogging. There is just so much in there that gives you a very vulnerable but also visceral look into what it would be like to be the child of a family vlogger.
Hi, I'm Sherry Franke, the author and narrator of The House of My Mother. I was inspired to share my story in this audiobook just because this is the first time in my life that I can share my story in my own words and take back that power.
Now, the four youngest Franke kids will be just referred to by their first initial of their names, regardless of if their names are publicly out there already. There are graphic descriptions of food restrictions, CA, CSA, religious abuse, therapy abuse, neglect, and details of injuries. So with that being said, let's get started. Clark and Debbie are not expecting anyone when the door rings.
Oh yeah, this is where we
Answer
started.
the door right now, but if you'd like to leave a message, you can do it now.
They're older. I mean, they don't move as quickly as they used to. And by the time that they get out there, they can barely make out this figure it's a tiny figure near the door. Whoever was knocking was almost walking all the way away.
Thank God you're okay.
Yes.
Hi, I was just wondering if you could do two favors.
They swing the door open, they see a little 12-year-old boy, and within a minute or two, they are on the phone with 911.
911, the address of your emergency. Okay, and the phone number you're calling from. Tell me exactly what's happened.
I just had a 12-year-old boy show up here at my front door asking for help. And he's said he just came from a neighbor's house, and we know there's been problems at this neighbor's house. He's emaciated, he's got tape around his legs, he's hungry, and he's thirsty.
Okay.
But he has duct tape around each ankle. Yeah, there's sores around him. I think there's a good chance he's been...
Clark's wife, Debbie, shouts in the background, "We need someone immediately!"
Oh, and he has them around his ankles. I mean, his wrists as well. Okay, this
Can we
boy
go
has been-
inside in case
Clark
you're looking for him?
swivels in the patio chair so that the little boy can't see his face. Clark starts choking on his words and he tries to take a deep breath to calm himself down. This is very different from when he first opened the door. When he first opened the door, he didn't understand the situation. And when the little boy asked for a favor, he had asked the little boy,
Well, what are they?
Taking me to the nearest police station. Well, actually, just one's fine.
but now seeing what's happened to him, he's getting emotional. He can't even talk on the phone to 911.
Can you...
Oh, you were such a good kid. Gosh,
This kid is obviously been... I think he's been detained. He's obviously covered in wounds. Is Jody up there right now?
Yeah.
Okay. Jody Hildebrand is up there right now.
Okay.
So she may come looking for him here soon, but She's not gonna, obviously. We need the cops here as soon as possible.
I'm just asking where he is now.
Yeah, she's a bad lady. We didn't realize how bad.
When Clark had asked the little boy about why he has duct tape around him, he said it was personal business, but it's my fault. He said it's his fault, that the injuries underneath the duct tape, the deep wounds, he said it was caused by rope, but again, it was his fault. The police rushed to the house, ambulances are meeting them there, and when they see this little boy, they offer to carry him from the driveway to the ambulance because he looks so incredibly frail. He's got injuries around his ankles, so undoubtedly it's probably hurting every time he takes a step. They want to carry him, but he is determined to walk by himself. One of the first officers on the scene notices a few things about the little boy. I mean, there's obviously things that they can't ignore. He's just all skin and bones, but on the upper part of the ankle, the Achilles tendon, you could just see all the tendons. Like, that's how deep the injuries were. He had never seen anything like that before.
Yeah, he's so
The little
skinny.
boy turns to him and he says, "I have a younger sister in that house. When did you last see her?"
Yeah, I forgot. Oh my
It's
gosh, how
been
can I
over a
forget?
month. 11:52 a.m., the officer bursts in through the closet door in Jody Hildebrandt's home, and quickly he uses his body to shield the closet from the view of his rifle, because he's got this giant rifle just hanging by his side, and he tries to hide it as he reaches out his hand, and his voice suddenly becomes high-pitched, as high as he can make it go.
You come in, my buddy. I'm a police officer. What do you need?
There is just this little girl sitting crisscross applesauce in the middle of this empty closet. She's not crouching, she's not hiding. She barely even reacts to the door being slammed open. And there's an officer with a rifle as tall as her walking in. We can't see her face, but her body language, she almost appears like she's disassociating. Now, side note, her
so
hair is almost
skinny
cut in
too,
a shaved
look.
pixie cut. Many officers actually thought she was a little boy.
Hey, you okay? Is this just you in here? I'm Sergeant Tobler. What's your name?
No response. He squats down.
Contact one. You okay? Huh? You doing okay?
He offers his hand. She still doesn't move. He's trying to be as calm as possible. The energy that he gives is like he's approaching a stray kitten that he doesn't want to run away in fear.
You don't want to talk to me? Yeah, that's okay. Can you come with me though?
Maybe she thinks she's in trouble. That's why she's not moving. She thinks she's in trouble.
We got Jody out here. You know Jody? She's outside with us. You take your time, bud. I'm in a hurry.
Can you assure her that she's not in
Did you
trouble?
know that? I don't mean to hurt you at all. You doing okay? Are you scared? Yeah? You're okay. Do you need help?
No response.
I'm just gonna sit down. It's okay if I just sit here with you. We don't have to say anything. If you don't want to.
1:40 p.m., an hour and 50 minutes later, another officer walks in with a small personal-sized pizza and a Pepsi.
Yeah, I'll put this here, okay? When you're hungry, you can eat. There you go. Whew. Thanks, yeah.
He places the food down and leaves so that she can have some space to eat. She's just as malnourished and emaciated as her brother that escaped to the neighbors. She looks like she hasn't had a proper meal in months. 2 full minutes later, 120 seconds later, she touches the pizza box. She was just staring at it.
You're more than welcome to eat. You can eat all you want to. That's all you.
She takes another 30 seconds before opening up the box, lifting it up, and taking a small bite. They sit with her for a while. She eats her entire pizza. They order her another one, and she eats another half of a large pizza.
Wow.
It's clear she's starving. 3:36 p.m., 3 hours and 40 minutes later, after finding her in the closet, she's barely said a few words. She's barely moved other than eat that pizza. She's just sitting there, staring at the floor. 2 female first responders join the closet with the little girl.
You don't want to talk? Okay. There's nothing I know you want to talk about. It's okay to talk to me. Are you scared? What?
You can barely make out what the little girl says, but it sounds like, "I'm nervous." And so they promise her nothing's gonna happen to her. One of the female first responders says,
We promise. Pinky promise. We helped your brother. And we got him some help too. And that's what we want to do for you. Is we want to get you some help too. We are safe. We will not hurt you, and we won't do anything to hurt you.
after nearly 4 hours since finding her, they get the little girl to finally stand up. She's very cautious. She looks almost too careful, like she's trying her best not to touch anyone or anything. And a full 4 hours later, she finally walks out of that closet. August 30th, 2023. This is the day of the rescue. Officers are banging on the door to the $5 million estate. The mansion looks like it's in the middle of Mars. The door is 15 feet tall, and they're banging.
Police officers, open up! Open the door!
The door opens with no sense of urgency, okay? Jody Hildebrand is standing right there with her phone in her hand. Her attorney is already on speakerphone.
Oh, she
Jody?
knew already.
I need you to step out.
I have my attorney.
That's great. Step out of the house.
No, I'm not going to step out of the
Step out of
house.
the house. Step out of the house.
They basically yank her, thankfully, and drag her out of the house.
Step out of the house.
Whoa, 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 whoa.
We're just gonna see
Whoa,
if
whoa,
anybody
whoa.
else. Is there anybody else home?
Wait a minute, how do you come in my house?
Right there.
They go on into my house.
Just have a seat right there.
Do you have a search warrant?
Have a seat right there.
Do you have a search warrant?
Have a seat right there.
They tell her, whether you like it or not,
I don't know about the laws, especially in this situation. I don't know what's it called. Kidnapping? I don't know what's called. Like, I don't. Do you need a search warrant at this point? Yeah, like me, I don't know. Give a flying famelama if this is your house and we don't have a search warrant. We're going in.
we're searching the house.
Control 12x11. Can you hold the air? We're searching the house.
I can tell you what's in the house.
Okay.
Just have a seat right there. So the little boy is one of the reasons why we're here. We just need to clear the house and make sure everything's okay.
But why are you coming into my house without a
We'll
search warrant?
explain it after this.
But that doesn't make sense. You come into my house and do what you want, and then you tell me you don't have a
No,
warrant?
we'll explain why we did.
But don't you have to have a warrant?
Not at this moment, we don't.
Oh, okay.
We're
Good.
here
They
on
don't need.
exigent circumstances. And I will explain it after this, after my sergeant and the officer are done clearing the house.
She's just staring at the officer. It's like unsettling the way she's able to look him in the eye.
Is there anybody else in the house?
Yes.
2 kids?
There's a little girl.
Just one?
She's right over here.
Okay. How old is she?
She'll be 10 next week.
Okay. And she's on this side?
I have Airbnb guests over there. Probably scared them to death.
Okay.
I don't care.
Which, side note,
Could not care
why are you
less.
not worried about the 10-year-old girl being scared to death? The police say once they get in there, I mean, you're just looking through each door, closet. You go downstairs, there's a basement, and
So
it's
many
just
food.
all concrete walls, concrete floors, concrete ceiling. We found what looked like a safe that could have been used for guns or a safe room. It's like a giant door vault. It has numbers and the whole wheel in the center. It looks like a bank vault, a giant bank vault. It is a safe room with its own toilet and sink, and the officers demand her for the code because they have to search inside. She claims she doesn't know the code to her own panic room inside her $5 million mansion. She said, I haven't used it. One of the officers there just says, you know what? I'm just gonna try. Let's go there and try a bunch of codes. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and it clicks open.
What? She's
By
so
this
stupid.
point, they found R, the boy that escaped and basically saved him and his own sister. And then they found E, the 9-year-old little girl in the closet, but there's still 2 teenage girls unaccounted for. Ruby's middle children.
Yeah.
Inside the safe room, the panic room, they find rope, handcuffs, gauze, medical dressings for wounds. They find this thick red paste in a bowl. It's honey and cayenne pepper, which was made to put on the wounds. Ruby and Jody had 4 kids under their care. The little boy went to the neighbor. The little girl was found in the closet, and that means the 2 daughters that are left, they still need to find them, and they are not in this safe room. This safe room is empty.
And Ruby is not in the house either.
No. Purgatory is death suspended. It's where souls go after death to undergo purification before entering heaven. That's what purgatory is. It's supposed to be like a temporary state, a rest stop for those who are saved but just need to be purified. If someone you know is in purgatory, probably the last thing you want is to hear from them. Kevin Franke picks up the phone.
This is a call from and paid for by
Ruby, Franke, Purgatory Corrections.
an inmate at Purgatory Correctional Facility. This call is subject to recording and monitoring. If you don't wish to talk, hang up now.
Ruby's voice is relatively calm, almost stoic. She tells her husband and tries to almost reason with him because, yeah, she was arrested for torturing their 2 youngest children, but she asks him,
And please see the truth. I know it's obscured.
I'm where I see the facts, I see the truth, and that's what I'm gathering.
You know my heart.
What are they charging you with?
2 charges of second-degree felony for child abuse.
2 charges of second-degree felony child abuse.
Yes.
Okay. Wow. That's very serious.
I think I was prepared for this. I do feel strong. I feel calm. And you know what? They may... Adults have a really hard time understanding that children can be full of evil and what that takes to fight it. You've seen what it takes to fight evil. It's not the person you're fighting. And it can look like something it's not. And you've been there, you know that.
She's still Delulu.
And so I don't know any adults who are going to see the truth. So I'm calm about this, and I just pray that you'll hang in there.
Kevin informs Ruby that he got a text from someone who he doesn't talk to anymore, but they reached out after hearing the news about Ruby being arrested, and Ruby is intrigued. Are we in the news? It sounds like at least you're in the news. I don't know about me. I'm wondering if they want to ask Sherry. If they went to Sherry to ask her questions. You know, these bookings are public. This is a witch hunt. Yeah, maybe this is a blessing, but this is a witch hunt. The devil's been after me for years, and he's mad at her. Have you shared that with the detectives, Ruby? I've not said a word till I have an attorney. Later, Kevin tells her that the kids are going to be in the hospital for 3 days. The 2 that they rescued, 11-year-old and 9-year-old. And she responds, so weird. It's just not necessary. They're trying to exaggerate this. In another call, Ruby tells Kevin,
It was horrible. It was torturous last night, hearing the screaming and the banging and people. It's like, okay, that's upsetting. But the most upsetting thing is that I am completely misunderstood. That is the most horrible feeling. Like my own family misunderstands me. They misinterpret me. And poor Jody, they misinterpret her. They misunderstand her.
Poor
she puts her neck out
Jody.
on the line for people, and then they get mad at her. I mean, it is just horrendous. It's horrendous. And you know what? Every Joseph Smith, every wonderful man of God has had to be misunderstood.
Were these calls recorded?
Yes.
What's the husband's attitude towards her?
A lot of people take it in different ways. Some people listen to these jailhouse calls and they think that Kevin is just as guilty as Ruby. The way that he's able to listen to her say these things, and like some of the verbiage that she uses, you know what it takes to fight evil. You know that. You've seen that. You've been there. It sounds like he partook in some of the abuse, which there is no evidence.
Or even if he didn't partake, the fact that he was just seeing it all happened, unless he was brainwashed, as she clearly seems to be, or I don't know, there's something psychological going on upstairs, because the fact that she believes that you need to do this to extract evil is crazy. And the fact that he just watched this all unfold in front of his eyes without doing shemankles is again crazy. So he needs to kind of like do time. Maybe not as much as she does, but he definitely like 3 years, 5 years, or go to like a psych ward to kind of like, I don't know, there's something wrong with both of them.
It sounds like he partook in some of the abuse, which there is no evidence, otherwise he would have been arrested, right? And there's so much evidence in this case. However, other people take it as Kevin needs to do everything he can to try and get custody of his children, to try and amicably resolve this as best for his kids. So he's just letting Ruby talk and say these things. He doesn't want to get combative. He doesn't want to say, no, you're literally crazy, you're abusive. So a lot of people have interpreted it differently.
I mean, if you found out this is what happened, how can you keep it together, right?
Yeah. He just says, that's right, about every man of God has been misunderstood.
That's right.
And so I'm going to get out of this. Who knows? Maybe in 10 days I'll get out of this. If I'm, if truth prevails right now, or, who knows, like 20 years? I don't know.
Never.
I don't know how long. But I'm going to step out. I'm going to say I went through everything. I have seen God's children suffer. All the people here, my jail cellmates, have been beautiful women, but they've been hurt. They've been deceived into drugs, and my heart just has so much compassion for them. And I have compassion for the cause, and I have compassion for myself.
But not your kids.
And then to be told that I'm suicidal, I'm like, no, that's not true.
So this is when she was driving back to Jodi Hildebrandt's house after finding out that her children were saved. She said, God told me when I was driving before I called you. I didn't have any information. I didn't know anything. And the Spirit said, your children are going to be removed. And I cried out loud. I'm like, no, I'm not done. I'm not ready. And God told me I'm done. And I just, So, Satan has taken everything away from me that I love. And I'm a good woman. I don't do naughty things.
Not naughty, but
really good
evil.
girl.
Ruby, I'm going to do everything that I can to keep truth in our family. And
Thank you.
I am committed to our family. I'm committed to you and our marriage, no matter what happens.
You don't even mention the children.
I will be here to support you in any way that I can.
Well, thank you for stepping up.
the jailhouse calls get released to the public and everyone is confused. Is this not the same case? The way Ruby and Kevin are talking about their children and about what Ruby and Jodi did, it doesn't even match the evidence and the severity of this case. The way that they're talking in these jailhouse calls, it almost makes you be like, wait, do they not know what's happening in their own worlds right now? August 30th, 2023, the day that the little boy is rescued, there's a whole crowd of paramedics, fire rescue police, all surrounding the boy. And one officer who has his body cam on is standing off to the side, just observing, when a paramedic walks up to him and says,
It's dry. I know. So I got my shades on.
You got pictures? I'll take more. If you want me to, you send them to you.
the paramedic wipes her face with her arm, and later in an interview, she says, "It was the first I had ever been on any sort of call like that. I mean, to see that little boy appear to be so okay when everything he's been through, it was like a punch in the face." One of the officers said, "You could actually smell the flesh. It was the most terrible thing they've ever seen." Ruby and Jody would enact prison war levels of torture. And I don't say that to be dramatic. I think prisoner of war torture can be very specific in the sense that sometimes they don't want to leave marks. So they find the most creative acts to torture people. Ruby and Jody would enact poking torture on the kids. They would use what they called a cactus poker, which appears to just be a stick with a cactus spine on it, and poke both of them, which is not only painful, it is almost invisible. One person online says after getting cactus needles stuck in their body, "I had to lay across the bed on my stomach and endure the pain of having the needles taken out of me. It took a week and a half to get them all out as they were nearly invisible. You would need a magnifying glass to see them. Just leaving my hand all tingly. I managed to get most of them out, but a few of them were still lingering under the skin, and I tried glue, masking tape, tweezers. You can't even see the ones that are under there, and it was burning." One person says, "The cactus fuzz is basically the equivalent of fiberglass. Thousands of tiny spines called glockids that just stick to you and irritate you, and it's the most visceral pain that you will ever feel." Jody admits that she would physically force Ruby's 9-year-old daughter to jump into a cactus multiple times. They would make the kids jump on trampolines, trampoline torture. R specifically had extensive injuries to his ankles. Remember, they said they could see his tendons. And considering how frail he was, to make him jump on a trampoline is downright cruel. Ruby journals, "Today I asked him to take off one sock by balancing on the opposite foot. Lift one foot up and remove the sock while staying balanced. He fell over, hit his nose on the ground, and began bleeding. I gave him a wet rag to wipe his face in toilet paper. He dabbed his face merely to smear the blood. Then he blew his nose so harshly through the toilet paper he got new blood on his face and all over his shirt. The easiest exercise he is asked to do, he refuses with the stature you would expect of a 9-year-old. He plays completely helpless. His body is full of evil, puffy infection, and he won't participate in the responsibility of pushing it out." Based off the children's injuries, along with Ruby's journal, it appears that they would whip the kids with towels, pour cold water on them. R was forced to sleep out on the balcony, reminiscent of Jody's niece, Jessie, from part 2. They were forced to do hard labor, go to graveyards, stand outside in the sun, barefoot in 100-degree plus weather in Utah, forced to carry large boxes up and down the stairs. They were tied with rope, handcuffs, they were hog-tied, which is an extremely stressful position. I mean, not only that, the ropes and the handcuffs would dig as deep into R's wrists and ankles that you could practically see his muscles. They would cut through the tissues. Then Ruby and Jody would pour cayenne pepper and honey inside the wounds. There's argument, because a lot of people are like, what is the purpose of that? Is that just pure torture? There's argument that the honey is an olden day treatment for wounds that is probably medically ill-advised right now, but it seems more like it was for torture, because the cayenne pepper seems to hold no real purpose in this healing method, and to add it to honey, it feels like the main purpose is to make sure the cayenne pepper sticks to the open wound for maximum pain. It's pretty clear that Ruby knows what this is doing to her kids. Ruby journal entry read, "It has been 3 months of consistent boundaries and putting up with his terrorizing to get his confessions out. Who would do this in the real world? I don't know of anyone who would feed their kids in America just rice, lentils, and chicken for meals for 3 months. And this is why Americans are full of sin and are ready for destruction. They won't repent."
Wait, what?
She says that she's trying to get him to repent all of his sins. Again, very reminiscent of Jesse Hildebrand from part 2, where
He's saying, why isn't more Americans doing this to their kids?
yeah, this is why Americans are full of sin. And we're going to be, I guess, ready for destruction. The children were regularly denied food, water, beds to sleep in, and virtually all forms of entertainment. This is a non-comprehensive list of all the physical torture that they had to endure. Carrying loaded boxes of books up and down the stairs, doing wall sits, sitting up against the wall without anything for hours at a time. Forced to do manual labor outside in extreme summer heat without socks or shoes, stand outside on the cement patio in the summer heat, sometimes for days. Now, the UV index in Utah ranges from 8 to 10. They're probably getting sunburn blisters. According to court documents, it reads, these actions resulted in repeated and serious sunburns with blistered and sloughing skin. R was denied adequate water for several of the days he was required to remain in the summer heat, and he was punished when he secretly consumed water. So these kids were forced to run barefoot on dirt roads. They have a little section in their parenting book. Okay, Ruby and Jody released a parenting book called Rings of Responsibility. And they have a whole quote in there that reads, choosing to wear shoes prepares me for adventures in the world, just as choosing principles prepares me to connect with myself, God, and others. I mean, their teachings are clearly not advisable. They're like the worst teachings in the world, but also just so hypocritical. Is it this or is it that? So they would deprive the kids of shoes, make them get blisters and sores on their feet, while also talking about principles are the same as shoes, and they're talking about how they want their children to have principles, but they won't even give them shoes. It doesn't make sense. They consistently deprive the children of shoes just for the sores and blisters, it seems. They're constantly bound with duct tape on their wounds. I mean, there's a heavy amount of residue that is incredibly difficult to get off of human skin from duct tape. This is not medical tape. This is duct tape. If you leave it on too long, or additionally, if you already have a small wound, if you rip duct tape off the wound, it could completely rip it open. Skin stripping and tension blisters are associated with duct taping. The prosecutors state both children had extensive physical injuries from the abuse that required hospitalization to treat. Emotionally, they were also tortured. I think that would be harder to heal. The prosecutors heartbreakingly state the children believed to some degree that they deserved what was being done to them. According to court documents, R was told that everything that was being done to him were acts of love. As for E, the youngest, the court doc reads, she was repeatedly told she was evil and possessed. The punishments were necessary for her to be obedient and to repent, and those things were being done in order to help her. She was convinced that she was evil and needed to go through these things in order to repent. Even the fact that it took the little girl 4 hours to trust officers enough to walk out of the closet. Jessie, Jody's own niece, a victim of Jody, says, I wasn't allowed to speak to anyone. If a church leader came and would ask me, are you okay? I would just have to stare at them because Jody had spies everywhere. She had people reporting back to her anything and everything that I did. So if I did talk to someone, she would find out somehow. Like the amount of paranoia and fear that I had, I was like, I can't talk to anyone. The prosecutors state that it was like a concentration camp setting in their home. They state, child abuse to this degree is something that is super abnormal. Everyone who has worked on this case has gone home and cried. Ruby and Jody end up pleading guilty. They get a deal to plead guilty to 4 counts of aggravated CA. At first, Ruby seemed like she was going to stay loyal to Jody, but eventually she realized she would get a lot more if she agreed to testify against Jody and get less time, appear to be the victim and not the heinous mother that she actually is.
What's aggregated CA?
Aggravated child abuse.
Oh, okay.
That's it, just 4 counts. During Ruby's sentencing, I mean, of course she does everything to blame everything on Jody. She makes a statement during her sentencing.
Oh, she switched on Jody.
Yeah, or at least in front of the judges.
Huh.
For the past 4 years, I've chosen to follow counsel and guidance that has led me into a dark delusion. My distorted version of reality went largely unchecked as I would isolate from anyone who challenged me.
I was led to believe that this world was an evil place filled with cops who control hospitals, that injure government agencies, that brainwash church leaders who lie and lie.
We would have believed her if she wasn't crazy already. Or how do I even word this? If she wasn't evil to her kids before Jody came into her life. Though she became worse, obviously, when Jody arrived, but she was already sus in the beginning, right? With their vlogs before Jody even entered their life. So, yeah, you can use that as an excuse.
Lost husbands who refused to protect, and children who needed abused. She goes on to state that she never worked with Jodi. She was never Jodi's business partner. I mean, I guess she's trying to make herself seem less like a partner in crime, a partner in distortion, but rather a woman who was taken advantage of by someone who has this psychology degree, who has the power to manipulate her. She says, Jodi was employed as my son's counselor in 2019, and in 2020, I paid her to be my mentor. It is important to me to demonstrate my remorse and regret without blame. I take full accountability for my choices.
And it is my preference that I serve a prison sentence.
Thank you to the officer. Okay, your preference to serve a prison sentence, if I were a judge, that alone would make me throw the book at someone. She would do this very aggravating thing throughout all of this, where she lists all the officers' names, the ones that were called out to the house to rescue the kids, and she thanks them. She says, you were the angels who came and saved my children. I especially want to thank Detective J. Bate. She plucked me out of the situation I didn't know how to get out of. And the moment she handcuffed me, it was the moment I gained my freedom. Thank you to the medical staff at Intermountain Hospital. Your tenderness and professionalism helped heal my children. Jodi and I inflicted the injuries, not the hospital. Obviously, why would the hospital be inflicting injuries? Were you not just complaining that 3 days in the hospital was 3 days too long for your kids? Also, did Ruby win some type of award? Like, what is this bizarre thank you tour? She goes on to, I kid you not, thank the DCFS, the Children's Justice Center, Judge Basil, and other key adults. That's her quote. I don't know what that means. She thanks her bishop. She thanks another church leader. She continues, thank you to the Washington County
What is this? A freaking Grammy? Like, shut up.
Prosecutor's Office, Ryan Sham, the legal assistants, the discovery clerks, Eric Clark.
What the is this the first time you ever heard someone say that?
Yeah. I don't know what's happening right now. I fully wish that I was kidding, but she continues to thank her attorney, all of his staff, whoever Randy Kester is, and her friends, Pam and Roy. Hold on to Pam. Hold on to Pam. She brings up her in-laws, Kevin's family, her cousins, her aunts, her nieces, her uncles, nephews, just everything. At this point, wrap it up. You know, thank the mailman and let's move on, because you don't seem remorseful at all. You're giving a statement and this is who you choose to thank. Like, this is what you choose to do with this. She thanks her parents, her siblings, their spouses. She apologizes for publicly dragging them into this. And then she says,
Kevin, my husband of more than 23 years, you are the love of my life. I'm so sorry to leave to you to finish what we both started together.
What do you mean?
The ending of our marriage is a tragedy, and you are wrapped around my heart in a knot I'll never be able to undo.
What about her kids? Finally, she brings up the kids. This is after all of this needless yapping in the thank you tour. She finally brings up the kids. She doesn't list them by name. She doesn't even list the adult children by name. She just says,
to my babies, my 6 little chicks, you are part of me. I was the mama duck who was consistently waddling you to safety. I can see now that over the past 4 years, I was in a deep undercurrent that led us to danger. I would never have led you to darkness knowingly. I was so disoriented that I believed dark was light and right was wrong. I would do anything in this world for you.
I guess except not torture them.
My willingness to sacrifice all for you was masterfully manipulated into something very ugly. I took from you all that was soft and safe and good. I took from you your mother. How terrifying this must have been for you. I will never stop crying for hurting your tender souls. You are each so precious to me. I'm sorry.
Then she goes on to thank the judge and his staff for, quote, facilitating my opportunity to take accountability and to answer for my charges. I am humbled and willing to serve a prison sentence. Which, like, I don't think you have a choice. What do you mean? A lot of people really question after that just how sorry and remorseful Ruby Franke really is. Ruby in a jailhouse called her sister, one of her sisters. She says she hasn't spoken to Jody since the day of the arrest, but that Jody is mentally ill. So it's a very different tune from what she was telling Kevin. But she says,
I think putting the pieces together and just seeing, like, she knew she was lying the whole time. Like, and it's embarrassing, too, just, like, repeat it. It's like, oh, my gosh, how gullible was I? Oh, my gosh, how much power I gave this person, and I didn't see it. I didn't know she wasn't honest. I didn't know she would lie. And it's like, what else has she been lying about? Where else have I been deceived?
She says,
this has been the strangest and the most miraculous intervention. It put everybody where they needed to be. It separated me from Jody, so I'm not hearing her. And I think just being gone and not hearing her has cleared a lot of things up for me.
a former cellmate of Ruby's has come forward to share her experience being in the same jail as Ruby. She says, it was interesting to watch Ruby in jail. She only saw her for about 3 days, but it was interesting. She said Ruby was desperately playing mother hen in prison, in jail, in her cell block. Ruby thought the other cellmate was going through a drug withdrawal. So weirdly, she's doing this thing, putting the blanket over this random cellmate, and then tucking it, going around tucking the blanket under her, mothering her, nurturing her.
Sure, okay.
When she wasn't doing that, she would just walk around with a Bible in her hands, carrying it at all times, glued to that thing. She says Ruby just kept holding it to her chest and she would close her eyes. And the cellmate is like, are you okay? What's wrong with you? Are you okay? Are you fine? She starts sobbing. I just miss my kids. Something about it felt completely empty, like with no depth. The response was weird. Which there have been a few updates since the sentencing. Ruby has allegedly now accused one of her kids, both of them, the youngest, of watching explicit material since they were 3 years old.
Wait, so she apologized or thanked everyone nonstop, saying that I love all my kids, blah, blah, blah. And now she's accusing the kids again?
She's basically just trying to justify what she did. She's like, I'm not actually evil. The reason that I thought that there were demons in my kids is because... And a lot of her journal, there were redacted portions, and it is a lot of people's speculation that it was Ruby and Jody forcing the kids to confess to things that they never did, which is a common theme that Jody Hildebrand is doing. Jody Hildebrand did that to her own niece, Jessie. She would force Jessie to claim and to confess to having 36 abortions. I mean, Jessie was 14, had no idea what an abortion was. Ruby allegedly claims that her underage children were assaulting their cousins and assaulting each other, and they had abused 20 neighborhood kids because they're, I guess, essentially sex addicts, which, by the way, it's a lie. I don't know what else to say. We don't even know exactly how Ruby has levied these accusations. It's just a very messy situation, but it just goes to show how gross they are.
Yeah, so hasn't changed at all.
No. And there is no truth to anything that she's saying. It's just extremely vile, especially because by law, once an accusation like this is levied against a child, they will automatically have to be placed in a home without any other children until an investigation is done. A lot of netizens believe Ruby is still torturing her children from prison. Adam from part 2, do you remember Adam? Mm-hmm. He went to marriage counseling with his wife, and Ruby tried to put him in prison, accused him of essaying his 1-year-old daughter. It was a mess. Adam from part 2, he says he wouldn't really be surprised if this is an accusation that they definitely uttered, because he says this is exactly what Jody does. And now Ruby is taking one out of her playbook, accusing people of being predators to hide their own crimes. That's what they do. They say, oh, my victim? No. They're not victims. They're predators. He says Jody and Ruby are doing what Jody normally does to full-grown men, which is accuse them of heinous crimes and then torture them relentlessly while accusing them of being terrible people. But now the only problem is they're doing that to children. To children that they tortured and abused. Not the only problem, but an even bigger problem. Ever wonder what Triple Engine? It's like the business behind the... Now, a lot of people feel like whatever Ruby said during sentencing for the judge is not how she actually feels. She feels zero remorse. One of her calls to Kevin and her family sound not particularly remorseful, and one of Ruby's former cellmates did an interview. She says Ruby had this childlike smitten crush on Jody in jail. Yeah.
What do you mean? They're like together in jail?
Ruby is in jail with this cellmate. And this cellmate had seen Jody around. So she knows both of them. She's seen both of them. And Ruby in the cell, all she's doing is fixating on Jody. She's not asking about her kids. She's not wondering about her kids. She's not repenting. She's not remorseful. She's like, I'm complaining because why are Jody and I separated, according to the cellmate? She's confused why they're separated. Ruby apparently said, God, how long are they going to keep us in here? Why did they separate me and Jody? I don't understand why they would separate me and my friend. The former cellmate says, quote, Ruby was really, really concerned about Jody. She said she wanted to talk to her, wanted to see her. And the cellmate was like, oh, that's your friend? I saw her briefly. She's like, oh, what did she say? How did she act? Did she say anything at all? She seemed pretty distraught. She didn't want to talk about anything at all. She was crying a lot. Her eyes were swollen really bad, kind of like squinted. You could hardly see her eyes. She looked pretty distressed. I said I asked Jody why she was in jail. Jody looked at me, not really with a smile, not really with a frown, but with a straight face and said, I'd rather not say. So I said, okay, I apologize. I wasn't trying to invade your privacy. And that was it. Ruby is like intently listening to her recount her experience meeting Jody, to which Ruby says, yeah, that's what I thought she would be like. Yeah, that's what I thought. Nevertheless, I don't think Ruby's jail time is going particularly badly. There is a picture circulating that shows Ruby and other inmates sitting crisscross on the floor, holding their hands out, touching each other on the chest, like they're doing a bonding, breathing yoga exercise.
What if we tell her, oh, I think the evil that you were trying to remove from your kids has transferred to you. So we need to do the same thing you did to them to extract them, because the way that you did it actually worked. So now we need to do it on you. Let's tie her up, let her sleep outside. Hopefully she doesn't try to escape. I mean, there's guards. Let her be under the sun, walking on hot pebbles and cactus, and put cayenne pepper in her butthole. I'm just gonna say it. I was gonna censor myself, but let's just go. Butthole. Maybe she'll like it. I don't know. But anyways, and also cactus in her butthole. Like, I know she didn't do all of that, but now that we're here, I can't stop. Yeah, we need to torture her. She's living like she's doing yoga, she's meditating, she's having peace. She doesn't deserve peace. She needs pieces of cactus inserted in her ASS. Okay, I'm too much, I know.
Chest, like they're doing a bonding, breathing yoga exercise. I'm all for adequate programs to rehabilitate inmates so that when they do re-enter society, they have a fighting chance at being a positively contributing member of society. But
Me too. It depends on your crime, though. It depends on your crime, truly. If you were here essaying kids, I know she didn't do that, but if you were, no, I don't have remorse for you at all. Like, you can rot in a freaking jail cell. I could care less, right? But if it was like, okay, I robbed a grocery store, okay, there, you need rehabilitation, my friend. But people who intentionally hurt other people, nah.
they have a fighting chance at being a positively contributing member of society. But it rubs people a lot in the wrong ways. On top of that, people have taken to zooming in on the whiteboard behind the inmates, and it's filled with random quotes like teach to learn. But also one phrase in particular stands out to people: see and speak truth. Is Ruby out here teaching everyone principles right now in prison? It's also stated that she's training in jail to be a yoga teacher, and there were only 20 inmates selected for this program, and she was one of the 20. To which one person comments, calling it now, she is going to get way too into yoga and start an underground yoga wellness cult in her prison. Yep. Another person says, I hate that she looks calm and clean. Yuck. But others say, well, Sherry wrote in her book about Ruby, I don't have a desire to see her destitute. My hope is that she can use this time to educate herself so that upon release she can find a way to survive, have a small house and a quiet life far away from me. One person comments, I think that's how I feel about Ruby too. Ruby is facing 4 to 30 years in prison.
What do you mean 4 to 30 years?
In 4 years, she could get probation and get released. Jody has also pled guilty to the same charges, but again, does she feel remorse? In a recorded jailhouse call, Jody rants. She's like sobbing, by the way, that she's the victim.
Nobody wants the truth. Nobody wants the truth. Nobody wants the truth because these kids.
It's all the devil.
You don't want to.
I mean, I've known you, for 5 years? You've watched him come at me. And he uses these kids, the adults, the parents that don't hold the kids accountable. So now it's abusive to make a kid sleep on the floor. It's abusive. Or it's abusive to, that's ridiculous. It's ridiculous. You can't even raise your kids anymore.
Whoa.
They're not even her kids. About the actual evidence, the evidence photos of the abuse, Jody says,
We didn't do that. Those pictures we did not do. He did that to himself, yes. Did we put that on him and then he rubbed around and cut himself? Yes. But we didn't do that.
She also says her going to prison is part of the Lord's work. Yeah, thank the Lord, lock her up, right? But she claims that the Lord says before the second coming that they shall lay their hands on you, they shall prosecute you. She says she cried because it felt like God was telling her this is her purpose and that she will be saved. She says, but when I...
Thank you, God, for doing this, for putting her in jail, and she's literally serving her purpose. She deserves to be there. The rest, delusional. But that part of her going to jail and God making it happen, for reals. Just not for the purpose she thinks.
I get out of here, I have a story to tell, and I'm going to try to do everything I can to protect the children, because that's what's happening. It's, like the kids are being horribly abused. But when it comes down to her pleading guilty and her sentencing, she has the audacity to stand in front of the judge and say,
I sincerely love these children.
I desire for them to heal physically and emotionally. One of the reasons I did not go to trial is that I did not want them to emotionally relive the experience, which would have been detrimental to them. My hope and prayer is that they will heal and move forward to have a beautiful life. I'm willing to submit to what the state feels would be an appropriate amount of time served to make retribution as an outcome. Which one netizen points out, I didn't go to trial because I didn't want to make the children relive what happened to them. It's a really funny way of saying, I don't feel like listening to my victims explain what I did to them. The judge states politely, okay, Ms. Hildebrand, the circumstances are tragic, and it's largely, of course, of your making. By any measure, your conduct in this case was disastrous for these children. Adults are supposed to protect children. Adults with specialized training in particular are supposed to protect children. You did not do that in this case. In this case, you terrorized the children, and the results have been tragic. Side note, even since both of them were arrested, Jody has been a manipulative sleazeball. I mean, there's no eloquent way of putting it. When Jody is first brought into the police station, she does this thing where she tries to act like the cops' friends, but also lets them know that her attorney is just super annoying. She says,
So I trust my attorney. He said, don't say anything. And I said, I have nothing to hide. And he's like, I know that, but just let me be there with you when you talk. So you guys seem nice people. Yeah. I'm not hiding anything. I'm trying to be difficult. This is really, if you knew all the pieces, I think you'd have a lot of empathy for what's going on.
That's what we're looking for. And you're an adult, and
Seeing her fingernails annoys me. I do not know why. I just want to take pliers and just pull them one by one.
the thing about our interview, if we ask you any questions that you don't want to answer, you can just tell us, I don't want to answer that question.
I'd like to just tell you, but I don't know who you are. I don't know if you're going to flip my words. I don't know.
And that's the good thing about cameras. Everything, it's pretty much double recorded, audio, video, and it's for the safety of for you and for us, because we don't want to flip your words. And this will all be pretty much right there to support you. So we're not going to use anything against you.
Be so insistent, then. He's an honest, good man, goes to church. I trust him. Why would he say that to me then?
I don't know your attorney, to be honest.
Well, I'm just saying he's a
He's
good,
good.
honest man.
Yeah,
and I'm an honest person as well, so we get along great. And he just said, do not say anything.
I don't know. I don't know what's going to happen with what I say. I'm a psychologist. I've watched people flip things all the time, so I get it. You know, I sit on your side. I get it. I wish people didn't do that, but they do. The officer would later say, she was clearly trying to manipulate us in that moment. I'm a therapist. I'm with you guys on this. I would love to share, but my attorney told me not to. But I want to. I want to be forthcoming. Meanwhile, Ruby doesn't say anything at all during the whole arrest. So she drives back to Jody's home, gets arrested. She doesn't look scared. She doesn't look sad or mad. She looks completely blank, indifferent, stoic. I think I would have to put in more effort to make my face so devoid of any and all emotions. She doesn't even respond to a single thing they ask. Do you want water? Are you okay? Do you want a snack? She just stares and blinks. What's your home address? How many kids do you have? Nothing.
It's going to be 2 counts, second-degree felony of child abuse or neglect, okay? Do you understand that or no? Are you okay? I'm wondering if there's like a medical clearance that needs to... You're sure you don't need medical attention or anything like that?
He looks tired. Just leave
She
her there.
came back voluntarily, or so
Yes.
she came back to get arrested.
Yes.
Okay.
Now, the officer says it was creepy. It was awkward. The officer later says, I mean, she just really seemed like she was looking through me. I would ask her a question and she would just stare and give me 3 really long blinks. It was more like Morse code. The only phrase that she would utter after arrest is,
I'll wait till I have a lawyer.
okay. And kind of smirks. That's it. So both of them are sentenced to 30 years. Technically, both of them could be out of.
If I'm a lawyer, I will be so pissed at my clients. I don't even think I'll take idiotic people, to be honest. If somebody calls me like her, I'll be like, shut the fuck, you are stupid. Bye. Like, I can't. I cannot deal with people who are dumb to begin with. So, I think I'll be a broke freaking lawyer. I'll be broke as fuck.
So both of them are sentenced to 30 years. Technically, both of them could be out in a few years.
Please don't.
In a previous podcast episode, Ruby says, I strongly disapprove of attacking. I strongly disapprove of abuse. I think all of us could get on board with, yeah, I have righteous anger towards adults abusing children. She's basically saying attacking and abusing is bad, but you can have righteous anger against adults abusing children. Well, guess who also likely has anger towards adults abusing children? Likely fellow inmates.
Oh,
So now that Ruby and Jody have been arrested and sentenced, there are a lot of people online questioning whether or not Kevin should also be arrested, at least for negligence. In an interview, Kevin's attorney states that he was completely taken off guard by these allegations online. As for why Kevin wasn't seeing or checking up on the kids, his attorney states, I totally understand the confusion. That was the big question in my mind. He states that people don't understand that Kevin was desperately trying to keep the family together. Ruby was the one calling the shots. She's the one that asked him to leave and not contact the
When they were on a call, he didn't ask about the kid. Both of them, they don't talk about the kids like they like their kids, right? They only care about each other. They're not worried. As a parent, that's your first immediate like reaction. Are they okay? What happened? These two could care a rat's behind. They don't care about the kids, to be honest. Like, it's all about them. And yeah, he needs to go to jail because it started way back when. Like, he was there when doors were not given to the children, right? And this, like, Chad had to go to that camp thing and he just was there experiencing everything. Yeah.
children. As for Jody, Kevin sees her as the spearhead towards essentially destroying his entire life and family. There is this really awkward moment where Kevin's attorney is asked. One of the allegations is that Chad wasn't allowed to sleep in a bed for 7 months. Why did he think that was okay? I can't comment on that. I have a duty to my client, to the court, not to comment on that question. But even Sherry, Kevin's own daughter, tried harder than Kevin to protect the kids. She's one of the kids that needs protecting. I mean, what's kind of wild is that Kevin is also advocating for CPS to have better procedures to catch abuse earlier on, which I do think is a noble cause, but a lot of netizens are upset that it's coming from Kevin. He explains, quote, "It's frustrating for me to hear the story of police officers, as they said. You know, they were standing on the front porch and they could see the children and they could see my former wife through the window ignoring them. And they said, even with all the reports, all the red flags that were given to them by our oldest daughter,
But
Sherry,
you're the freaking
and by
parent.
our neighbors, they still could not intervene. Eventually, they had to leave because the judge would not sign off on them forcing entry into the home. Kevin also goes on to express frustration, and he said the police never called him. But he does say DCFS, Department of Children and Family Services, aka CPS, called him repeatedly, but because he was brainwashed by Jody and Ruby, he did not pick up the phone. To which one of the top liked comments reads, "When you haven't seen your kids in a year and CPS calls you, you don't ignore it. He was complicit and needs to take accountability. What a narcissist."
Yes.
Another comment
Yes.
reads, "The police checked on his children more than he did." But he claims he was so lost in the sauce that he believed in Jody as much as Ruby did. The Hulu documentary producers ask him, "Did you really believe this was the end of the world, that Christ was returning?" "Oh, absolutely." "But if the world was ending, did it occur to you that maybe you wouldn't go to heaven? Maybe you'd go to hell?" "Never. It never crossed my mind because we were preparing for it and we weren't alone." Which a lot of people are split about this. Some people believe that Kevin and Ruby both failed their kids, but because Ruby helped physically torment and abuse their children, whereas Kevin just left and stayed brainwashed, allegedly, they think that Kevin is less culpable. But others say, no, think back at everything that's happened before Jody even came into the Frankie's lives. Remember the first internet cancellation of Ruby Frankie? And I say internet cancellation when personally it just feels like abuse, but for the sake of keeping the charges separate from the internet warning signs.
Okay.
But when Chad revealed that he hadn't slept on a bed in 9 months, he was sleeping on a beanbag, Kevin was one of the first people to defend the situation in a vlog by stating, "The things that we show and share and the things that many of you are criticizing and calling abusive are actually things that mental health professionals have counseled us to do." So he was very firm. He believed in all of this. Even later, he tells authorities that he supported his wife through helping Chad, quote, "choose honest and responsible choices." He also says that was what the internet uproar was, right? Indicating he does not side with the internet and the public's view even few years down the line, but rather he sides with Ruby. He argues later in People magazine, "A lot of the physical violence that was described was hidden and kept from me. I didn't even know those things happened." And I think Ruby was really careful.
He's here having like interviews with magazines and TV shows, and where are the kids still at this point? I don't even think he cares. He's just there posing for a freaking magazine. Ugh. Nah, he needs to go to jail at the same time. A while ago, I was like lenient on him more, but now that I heard this part, I'm like, yeah, he needs to go to jail as well. Well, I'm gonna end it here. We're gonna continue tomorrow with the last part. Oh, this family, I mean, the parents, and Jody, they need to burn in hell. And I want to hear about Pam. I don't know how Pam is part of this, but I want to hear that part. And yeah, I hope the kids are all doing okay. I don't know who they will be, maybe with their grandparents right now. Yeah, thank you guys for joining, and I'll see you tomorrow for the last part. Bye.